Microsoft still has some duplicate icons that have only seen minor changes. It seems like over the past 50 years they've faced some challenges. In this video, I'm giving 4 popular Microsoft Office apps a refreshing makeover by transforming them into a lovely style. First up is a program we all know and love, Microsoft Word, in a word processing program that for the creation of both simple and complex documents, create. I'm thinking for this video to place the letter W right in the center while sticking with the original colors for the design. It's going to turn out great. I kick things off with a blue square for the background, and then I add the color palette I need for the design. Next, I lay out all the colors side by side to give the main background a nice form. If we think about the light coming from above, I can add some depth to the design by casting a shadow at the bottom. I'll also brighten up the white highlight in this area to emphasize that the light is coming from above. If we picture these colored strips stacked on top of each other, they'll create shadows along the edges, so I'll add a few details there to enhance the shadow effect. Awesome. It's time to focus on the letter W. I'm going to position it right in the center of the design and tweak its size a bit to make it fit better. I also chose to take out some of the middle sections to keep the design looking sleek and appealing. Finally, by adding a texture, I'll give the design a paper-like feel to really capture its essence and purpose. This is the first option. Next, I'm thinking for the second one. I'd like a logo-style design. I might add a letter here and use the other colors as a fill or a sequence in this section. I'm gonna add a Nescafe colored rectangle as the background this time. And let's go ahead and write the letter W in blue in this section, just like we planned. By adjusting the saturation, I'm aiming to make the colors blend well and fit the overall design. Now I'll pick this area to create that wing or trail effect using the colors. I'll use the right amount and size of colors in the chosen section. So which one do you prefer between these two options? A next app where we're turning the iconic Microsoft PowerPoint into some juicy. Microsoft PowerPoint is a powerful slideshow presentation program. The key concept for kicking things off is the word point. Picture a big round dot, kind of like a tennis ball, with the letter P right in the center. First off, I kick things off with an orange circle. I really aim to stick to the colors from the original icon. Then I grab a problem brush to give that circle some depth and transform it into something that resembles a tennis ball. I throw in a bit of light color at the top, picturing the light shining down from above. To spice things up, I cover the whole piece with a layer of orange and darken the top section. By tweaking the layer style, we end up with a cool orange ball. To smooth out any uneven edges, I use a bright orange to blend the dark and light areas. Not too shabby. Now let's add the letter P. I'll place this word right in the center of the design. And by tweaking the style, I'll aim to keep that 3D vibe while ensuring the work looks great. To top it off, we'll add a paper texture to create the impression of a significant and impactful paper ball. This is from the first alternative. It was not bad. Next, the second one. I'm thinking about creating a little digital booklet, and it's not a bad idea at all. I'll put the letter P on the right and the papers on the left. I'll kick things off with a creamy background. Using these grades, I'll figure out where to place the letter P in the paper section. Then I'll highlight that section by changing its color to red. I'm going to add the letter P on the right side now. I want to switch up its style a bit. I'll add shadow to the design and lower the fill so the color fades out, leaving just the style. Then I'll use some primary colors to make a cool wavy pattern inside the letter. I'll start with a red wave wrapping around the design, and then I'll layer in some other colors on top. So here's the deal. In this part, I wanted to create a vibe that feels like a book, so I used darker colors to give it some depth. It really started to resemble a book, and I threw in a few more uneven lines to spark some inspiration for the audience. Now I'm adding a paper texture to enhance that book-like feel. To give it a more 3D effect, I'm darkening certain areas and softening the edges to make it stand out more. With some darker accents, I'll keep refining it for an even better outcome. Here's what we came up with. Let me know which one you prefer. A word processing program that is used for letter writing, creating documents and reports. I've got a concept for a fresh icon. I'm thinking of an X right in the center, drawing inspiration from the external hard drive along with sections for input and output where we can, say, import calculation files and more. To kick things off, I sketched a green square and lined up the main colors I want to use for the design. Then I placed the letter X right in the middle and chose a light green shade for it. To make it more appealing, I threw in a bit of shadow to give it a 3D vibe. Since this app is all about calculations, I thought a lined paper texture would be a nice touch. For the color effects, I used different colors as labels and painted that section. Adding shadows really helped those labels pop with some nice depth. I also highlighted the bottom section, which is where the file input and output will go, using a different color to wrap it up later. To give the artwork a 3D effect, I shade the area around it softly, enhancing its appeal and guiding the viewer's eye. I also add shading to the lower part to create a clear distinction. It's like viewing a green hard drive from above in an isometric perspective. To make the design pop even more, I plan to add some bright colors in a subtle, faded manner at the corners. It really transforms the raw form into something special. It's like there's a light shining down, revealing different aspects of the piece. To enhance the three-dimensional feel, I chose to keep this section consistently 3D and aligned with the design's intent by adding a dark green line. The overall design turned out beautifully. Next, I pictured a folder where we could store all the calculation files and stuff. To kick things off, I'm sticking with the same green square I used earlier. This time though, I'm going to tweak its shape by adjusting the corners to give it that folder vibe. I worked on the top part based on some examples to get the design just right, and it turned out pretty good. Now I'm using these colors to represent sheets, drawing a rectangle and filling it in, making it look like the sheets inside the folder. I just placed the letter X right in the center of the design, and this time I went with a light green shade. Next, I'm going to add a lighter hue to this section and blend it out to create a bit of a 2.5D effect, maybe even a 3D vibe. To finish it off, I'll use the same texture as before because I think it looks really nice. I didn't add any rays this time, but I went ahead and did my own thing. This is also from Excel. Which one do you prefer? Microsoft OneNote is a digital note-taking app that provides a single place for keeping all of your notes, research, plans, and information. Have you ever tried this app? When I think about how well it works, it reminds me of a notebook. To kick things off, I chose a light purple square. Then I added the letter N right in the center of the design. I'm looking to shape a big notebook, so I start by darkening the bottom to give it a 3D effect. I also darkened the edges to clearly separate the cover from the pages inside. To add some perspective and depth, I apply a darker layer to the inside, which helps show the thickness of the notebook. Finally, to make the pages stand out and give a better view of the notebook, I draw some lines in that area. I tug on the layers a little, and I can get the look I want. But I feel like adding some darker elements here could really enhance the overall appeal. To give the letter N a 3D effect, I added a shadow layer. Now to spice things up a bit, I'm planning to throw in some colorful labels for this section. It's like dedicating each area of the office to a different them. So I'll add some vibrant colors to enhance the overall look. I'll make a few copies and place them at the bottom, but each one will be in a different color. In this section, we're creating a design where, for instance, the book and its pages are bound together with thread. This is also inspired by this. It wasn't too shabby. But here's the second option. I take the same concept and give it a fresh twist. I position the letter N on the left side, but it ends up on the right side of the sheets. I kick things off with a purple square. The letter N goes in the top left corner. Then I draw a dark purple line to divide the area where the sheets sit from the left side. I also add another line next to this dashed one to shift the design down to the next line. In this section, I'm going to focus on the primary colors. I'll use purple in various shades, making sure to get the dimensions just right. Next, I'll shrink the letters to fit the design better and add a liquid effect underneath for some depth. Now, I'll incorporate a sheet into the design, scaling it up and trimming any excess. Overall, it's looking pretty good. I'm looking to give this section a 3D vibe and make it pop with some dark and light highlights. I'll start by adding a bit of light purple to the low area and then blend it out by erasing certain spots. Next, I'll repeat that process for the upper section, adding some bright colors. After that, I'll blend it in too. To wrap it up, I'll add some darker shades on the bottom and left side. How does that sound? What do you think of the designs we have today? Please drop a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel.